I don't know if I am coming across. So if anyone is here, please let me know. Because I have made a mess, a legitimate mess of my stream today. Let me see. We are going to. Hey, it looks like I'm live. Okay. A lot of what I wanted to do got screwed up because I messed up my I messed up trying to set up for today. So, pardon me if I am a bit discombobulated. Okay, looks like I'm showing up now. Sorry about that. Hello, good afternoon. I don't know who I have here with me right now, but I am gonna try to wait it out for a second just to. Oh, everything looks so good now. I want to wait it out for a second just to see if I'm going to get anyone else in the room. In the event that you have not yet met me, my name is Tasha Pierce. I am the host of Unwrapped. And over here, we usually talk about things where at the intersection of pop culture and common sense. Here lately, it's been an awful lot of political talk because unfortunately, politics has become pop culture. And by that, I mean we have a reality TV star in the White House. Most of his cabinet is composed of people who have become infamous by being part of his exploits on TV. And his exploits on TV, meaning Mr. Trump, his exploits on TV did not stop with his being the host of a reality show. It continued into his first presidency, now going even further into his second presidency, and we have come to know a lot of the people in his cabinet by the notoriety they have earned from being connected in any way with Donald Trump. So, it's pop culture now. And until we are in a position where we are outside of this scary zone that we're in of authoritarianism, of dictatorship, once we get back out of that, you can probably count on the fact that I'll be talking more about entertainment because this is driving me crazy. Talking about Trump and his exploits, but there are so many people who will not follow the news because they just don't want to be bogged down. And that's what I'm here for. Because this is a presidency, just like I felt like the the election was one of the most important elections of my lifetime. This presidency needs to be documented, and it doesn't need to be documented in the most regimented of ways. Everybody needs to know what is going on in that White House because this is the stuff that they write books about. Besides the fact that it is affecting each and every one of us in some way, shape, or form, this is the stuff that our grandchildren will be learning about in history class. This will be the stuff that other countries, Germany, finally will have one on us because the same way we learned about Nazi Germany and the rise of Hitler, and of course the fall of Hitler after World War II, if we are learning that stuff as Americans, the rest of the world is going to be learning about how the United States went from one of, as a matter of fact, the most powerful nation and the most powerful democracy on this planet, and how we have now gone into being uh, a laughing stock, and also a cautionary tale. So I said all of that. I've gotten off my soapbox. You kind of know who I am. Couple more things about me. I am agoraphobic. If you don't know what agoraphobic is, that's a person who has an extreme anxiety or about going outside, about not just about leaving home, about leaving the areas that you are most comfortable in. So I really don't get out much, but I'm your agoraphobic auntie who is going to continue to try to be a part of the resistance to Donald Trump, and I hope that you will do the same. Continue to resist um, being led like a serf or a slave. You don't want that, and I don't want that for us. So if I can sit on my computer and try to motivate and mobilize people, then any piece of um, anything that you do to try to be proactive rather than reactive with this regime. Said all that. One of the things that I have started thinking about here lately is boycotts and how effective they are. We are seeing Tesla, which is owned by our co-president, Elon Musk. So we are seeing Tesla be be radically affected by protests and boycotts, and we need to keep that type of pressure up. We're also seeing a few stores and corporations, Target being one, that is being affected by boycotts, and we can keep that economic pressure on. But then we still look at the horizon of what's going on in the United States, and we see that we are still going to be making buku bucks over the next couple of years. Why do you think that, Tasha? Why do you think that we're still this country is still going to be making money? Right now, the economy is tanking, and I don't even know if we should be happy or sad about that. It's like the economy is tanking in like dystopian fashion, but I don't know if that's by design. And sometimes I think about how I feel like this administration is incompetent. And I think that a lot of the things that they do, we could chalk it up to stupidity. But other fascist and dictator regimes have done similar things. They tank their economy to put people in a position where they cannot afford to take a day off. They can't afford to pay attention to what's going on in the world. They can only stay on that hamster wheel. Also, it gives a dictator the opportunity to say, "Oh, we're in big trouble," even though this is trouble of their own making. They'll say, "Oh, we're in big trouble." So that means that I need to put these emergency powers in place. And usually, when a president gets emergency powers put in place, it's kind of like there's not a lot we can do to stop some of the things he is giving himself almost absolute power. So we don't want that. And we don't want it, and we need to and I need to pop out the I gotta figure out how to pop out my chat. But anyway, we need the country to continue to be able to run whether or not we have idiots running the country. We don't want it to our economy to fall so badly or fail so badly that we need him to invoke emergency powers. But anyway, that's me going off on a whole nother tangent. I need to pop. I'm trying to see y'all comments while I'm doing this. if I get any. And I do. I've got some comments I just wasn't able to see. Hi, Clarence. Hi, Bougie. Hi, Marge. Everybody, glad to see you guys. There is a little echo or a bit of distortion. Let's see if I can change that. You guys tell me if anything changes when I do this. So let me know if anything has changed, if if the distortion is gone out of chat. And in the meantime, I need to be putting in the chat this link. Link, go to live stream. Let me know if I'm sounding better and if I'm loud enough. Because I did a live stream last week, and yeah, nobody could hear. I mean, it was like a whisper, and I'm like, I talked for an hour and a half, and nobody told me that I can. Nobody told me. See, now Clarence is telling me the volume is low. Thank you, sir. You guys, let me know if anything has changed. Let me know if anything has changed before we start trying to present the information today. I appreciate y'all help because I did not want to be talking forever and nobody can hear me. So, anyhow, some in thinking of the ways that we can make some changes, you guys tell me, let me know that, okay, Clarence says it sounds good now. Sounds good now. Good. Thank you, y'all. Okay, so now I can get started. So now I'm gonna get started, and I have to like kind of stick to my script because I'm gonna upload this as a podcast as well. So I will stop and take comments though, but I'm gonna try to stick to the script. I'm not gonna try to go off on my Tasha tangents that I typically go off on. And then I did that just to. And what you're seeing on the screen right now is our FIFA's principle as they talk about human rights. We're going to get back to that in just a minute. That one is the Olympic one. We're going to talk about that in just a minute as well. This is what we're trying to get to. Okay, so we're going to talk about why we are here today. What made me think that this would be a good idea? Because in a lot of ways, boycotts work. And we are currently on the verge of hosting the 2026 World Cup and the 2028 Olympics. Now, those are two huge global events, but the US government is increasingly heading towards authoritarianism and it's casting a dark shadow on these events. Countries like the UK, Germany, the Nordic nations, Canada, those are nations that are warning their citizens about traveling here. And it creates, I guess, more risks for the athletes, fans, and journalists who are going to want to come over and feel like they are safe when they travel in the United States. But we can't guarantee their safety right now. So I got to thinking, what if we pressured these countries, their sponsors, their athletes, to pull out of the US as a host nation? What if we could hurt the US economically and reputationally on the global stage by getting governments and corporations to reallocate their investments and send stuff elsewhere? So that's the conversation that I wanted to have with y'all today, and there is a lot to unpack with this issue. But before we get into the what we're going to unpack, Do you think FIFA and the IOC should reconsider the U.S. as a host? I'd like to see your thoughts in the chat. Now, the big problem is why the U.S. might be unsafe for a global event. Like I said, those travel warnings from Germany, the UK, Denmark, Canada, that's not just because, oh, that's just a small inconvenience. That's a signal to us in the United States that we are becoming increasingly dangerous, and we are definitely dangerous to be a host country for international visitors. There are political crackdowns on international students and detentions of travelers. Now, I talked a bit about the case of Romesa Oster, but then there were others. There was a young lady from Canada who was detained at the border. There was a French professor who was detained at the border. These are people that we're hearing about. Imagine the ones that we never hear about. All of this is showing that uh, the United States is using immigration laws to punish anybody who disagrees with the current regime and to restrict entry for certain individuals. And when you look at certain individuals, we don't even know how to quantify that. The lady from Canada was a white young lady, didn't look threatening. I can't remember her name. That's why I'm just calling her a young lady. Ramisa Osterk, her only crime was writing an opinion piece in a newspaper. Um, the French professor, he was just coming over here for a conference, and as he was detained, they confiscated his phone and computer. These are things that are happening to the most mundane of visitors to the United States. How negatively could this affect athletes, journalists, fans who don't agree with United States policies? How unsafe of an environment could this be for the everyday person? Remember the Venezuelans that have been rounded up and renditioned off to who knows where? Well, we do know where, El Salvador. They sent Venezuelans instead of, you want to deport them back to Venezuela. They deported them to a notorious prison in El Salvador, and their labor is going to be used as a form of slavery. If you ask me, I'm going to come in and check in on you guys to see if any comments or anything are coming through. Oh, a lot of comments have come through. Um, Closer to Mike. So Clarence is asking, why would anybody come here? Um, Bougie Barbie is saying that she loves this. She's ready for it. She likes, if they did reconsider it, we need the world's help to control Trump and his swamp rats. Marge said losing the Olympics World Cup would be a huge move. Some countries may even boycott. That is what I hope happens, because appealing to the the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, and FIFA, who is over the World Cup, and I don't know what those letters stand for. I've always forget. Um, I don't know if they're going to be very helpful to us. But if we put the pressure on them, and if we say, "Hey, we know that you know that we know that you know that things are getting a little bit out of hand here. And by a little bit, I mean extremely out of hand here in the United States. And what do you plan to do about it?" And I guess I can go back to the slides, because FIFA, their principle is the enjoyment of the rights and freedoms set forth. I'm sorry, that's how is that FIFA? That's not FIFA. That's the Olympic Charter. without discrimination of any kind, such as race, color, sex. They say they're having none of that, and yet we're still planning to have the Olympics here. I don't think that's smart. I don't think it's smart or safe for those athletes. And as you can see, FIFA is saying the same thing. They're committed to human rights. They're committed to no discrimination. And yet, we're still considering the United States as a viable source to or place to host these big games that are going to attract international visitors. So if governments themselves are warning the citizens not to travel to the United States for basic tourism or work, should we really be asking them to show up for a massive global sporting event? I'd like to hear thoughts in the comments as I go back to my notes because I went on a tangent when I said I wasn't going to do, and we're going to move on. Economics is key to hurting this regime. I say that because this regime has demonstrated they understand nothing but money. This at the very same time that they are rounding people up and moving them out of the United States and saying that they are problems, they are bringing in to the United States bigger problems. For example, the Tate brothers. For those of you guys who don't know who the Tate brothers are, they are part of that quote unquote manosphere. They are some of the biggest misogynists, the biggest homophobes, the biggest racists that you might ever come across. And they're wrapped in a package that looks so innocuous because they're really good looking young men. So, them having this extreme misogyny, and it has led them to take advantage of women all over the world, just all over worldwide. We going to take advantage of women and putting them in situations where they were being trafficked. Now, this is all allegedly. The Tate brothers have not been found guilty of any crime. But when you move around and these kinds of accusations follow you, where there's smoke, there might be fire. Besides that, they have been accused of money laundering and just doing all sorts of crimes. But guess who welcomed them to the United States? They were being held in Romania and their travel was restricted. Our government reached out to Romania, asked them to lift the restrictions on these two brothers, and then sent a plane to pick them up and brought them back here to the United States of America. You ask yourself why. It's because money talks and bullshit walk. The Tate brothers have amassed a small fortune, and I'm pretty sure they were able to pay whatever whatever bounty that Trump was asking for them to come back to the United States. On a whole nother note, last week a lady um, has accused Andrew Tate of sexually assaulting her in their kind of relationship, intimate violence. And he wouldn't have been around to do this if he was still under a home detention in Romania. So the very criminals that they say that they want to keep out of our country, they invite in to our country. Further, if you got $5 million, you could buy yourself a green card. Now, it doesn't specify whether or not you would have to have a clean criminal record and $5 million. No, what we have heard as the general public is that if you got $5 million, you can buy your way into the United States. So when I say that this government, this administration only understands money, I mean, they only understand money. And countries and global sponsors like Nike, Visa, Coca Cola, they pour billions into these events like the World Cup, like the Olympics. And if, oh, why did this thing just start talking? Did you hear my phone just start going off? Let me shut it up. And it was going to keep talking. It had a whole list of stuff that it wanted to say. Anyway, if Coca Cola, if Nike, if Visa, if Adidas, if they begin to see a backlash, if they see boycotts, if they see insane travel restrictions, it could hurt their profits. As you know, money talks. The international community and its corporations has the power to influence the United States economically by pulling their sponsorships, by moving investments elsewhere. Because, yeah, you might lose the United States, which is a huge consumer market, but you keep the rest of the world if you do not just sign on to the BS that's going on in the United States right now. And if enough countries threaten to pull out or move their support to another host, the US will feel the pressure. Now, right now, it's going to take something major to get FIFA and the IOC to move their events. One of the things that they do not want is it to their events to become the backdrop of a bigger movement. Meaning, if everything else fails, if we boycott the World Cup, the Olympics will try to pull out of the United States. And I mean boycott like we need everybody in all of those host cities because they're moving around um, the United States. They're going to have games. The World Cup is in L.A., in Boston, New York, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Houston, Dallas, Miami, Atlanta, Seattle, Kansas City. If we show up at each one of those events and we make a lot of noise, number one, FIFA is going to regret having the World Cup in the United States in 2026. But the Olympics are not going to take a chance and they will pull out. But that's only if they don't get the good sense to just pull out because you can see the writing is on the wall. You can see where things are headed in the United States. Now, a lot of people might want to bury their heads in the sand and pretend like they don't recognize what's happening, but let he who has eyes see. You can see what is happening in the United States anytime we have attacks on the very institutions that were meant to protect us. Law firms are being extorted by Trump. Uh, Institutions of higher learning are being extorted by Trump. Anytime that you see these types of things happening, you already know, or at least you should, that the rest of it is not going to be good. Before we move on, I'm going to take a look to see where we are with comments. Well, it's a lot of new comments here. The manosphere, Marge thought that was funny. um, Clarence says, I wonder how the cross country sports are faring as well. NBA, MLB, and NHL. I mean, when the NBA and the NHL show up in Canada, Canada lets them know how they feel about that national anthem. And Canada also is not saying, we don't like you, Americans. They know what it is. They know what the problem is. It is not the people, not all the people. It is the president. And they are letting them know. They're being very, very, very aggressively loud and with their boos and their disdain for hearing that national anthem. Also, we also saw the Major League Baseball go over to Japan. Was that Japan? I think it was Japan. And or was it China? They went to one of those countries. They went over there and they had a very good reception. So it just, I guess it depends. If this president has threatened your sovereignty, then I think you would be a little more upset. So I'm looking at you, Denmark. I'm looking at you, Greenland. I'm looking at you, Canada. You know, some of the European countries they have insulted. Yeah, once you start insulting our our allies, of course you're going to get blowback. And the problem is the people we're getting the blowback from are the people who hold the most international weight. You've done effed France. France, they not messing with us anymore. The a lot of the UK nations, you've hurt the feelings of a lot of the NATO nations. You have hurt the feelings of our closest neighbors internationally, especially in soccer, what we call soccer, everybody else calls football. So and with soccer, you don't want to mess with those countries. That's where the huge fan base is. Um, yeah, that phone. I'm telling you, that wasn't even Alexa, Clarence. That was Gemini. I have never had Gemini just start talking out of nowhere. That was weird. Um, the phone agreed. Marge says, if this the tariff situation heats up, I wonder if Canada will participate in the U.S. hosted Olympics. I'm really hoping that a lot of countries pull out, say, we don't even want to go there. And because of course, this unnecessary trade war that, and this man has the audacity to say, we're going to put some tariffs on you and you shouldn't reciprocate. If you do, we're going to put more tariffs. What do you think is going to happen if you put more tariffs on them, Europe and Canada? What do you think is going to happen here? Before you know it, we'll be priced out of everything. But anyway, um, it's the in Dallas, the World Cup is going to be a big thing. That is what things are just happening here, and I don't understand how or why. But anyway, Clara says it's supposed to be a big thing, and I am almost 100% sure that Houston is feeling like, wow, we got the World Cup coming here. Yeah, we got the World Cup coming here, but can we be sure that the teams that are not um, um, American enough or white enough is what I guess I should say for Trump and his cronies, if they're going to get over here without being detained, or if once they get here, because you know how our president likes to cheat as well. He's a notorious cheater, right? So if he wants to show the might of the United States, who's to say that he wouldn't detain a team or a certain athlete so that we will have a more of an upper hand? I'm not saying he would. I'm just not saying he wouldn't. And before I sent my athletes who represented my country to the United States, I would think about these things. So hopefully we'll see that. Hi, Justin. Yeah, this Trump sanity it's a mess, but we're gonna get through it. And um, going back, I went on my tangent now. Let's go back to the notes. Going back to the script. Well, it's not supposed to be that. It is supposed to be this. Why is that showing? There we are. All right, the U.S. If these sponsors and these nations back out, we will see. The United States will feel some economic hurt. There will be blowback, and I think that's a good thing. I think that's a very good thing. We need to pressure other state, or I'm sorry, other countries, other governments, the sponsors of these things to think about their bottom line worldwide, not just here in the United States. We need to pressure them into using the power that they hold to to punish the United States. If you would consider this to be a sanction, so be it. Let it be a sanction. So, pressuring the United States uh, economically. How do we do it? We need to mobilize governments. We need to call on countries to boycott or reconsider their participation. Now, if the host country is violating human rights or creating an unstable environment, governments should not send their teams to support the event. I know that we have at least one person in our chat right now, Marge, who is from another country. If you could start it, if you could start it with Canada and have them start a petition that would just demonstrate that you do not want your athletes to come here to the United States for any of these events. And further, if we can start pressuring some of the athletes as well, they don't need to come here. Uh, if you come here and win, will they just say that that's a DEI thing? Will they try to detain you and say that you are using performance enhancing drugs? Will they, all of these things are not beneath this administration. I really don't see anything that they wouldn't do to get an upper hand. And we know countries like Germany, France, Japan, they have the economic might to sway some decisions, especially if public opinion forces their hands. So we need other nations, other citizens from other nations to get on board with this and to make some noise because I really want I really want to punish this government if you can't tell. And I don't know if I'm like, I'm really low key. I don't do things over the top. Hopefully you can tell. I want to punish this government for being just the worst. I can't even find words right now. They're the worst. And I want them to feel every bit as insecure as some of us feel when we go to sleep at night. I've seen where there are senators who are introducing legislation to get rid of TSA at the airports. And TSA was implemented during a time when airplanes were being used as weapons. Remember 9/11? It wasn't that long ago. But also, my kids here, my son and my daughter in law, they work in the airport. And without TSA, they will not be able to continue the work that they do. Now, Chloe, my daughter-in-law, she also works at a dentist office. So she's a hardworking young lady and I love her. But uh my son, that is how he provides for his family. So if you take that away, That is insecurity for my grandchildren. And anytime you come for Ashton in the mirror, you getting Mama Bear and Grandmama Bear. So you're talking about ending TSA. You're talking about things that makes your citizens insecure, uncertain about tomorrow, and we need them to feel just a little of the uncertainty that we feel. You know, they're million and billionaires. They'll never be as insecure as us. But I want them to feel it a little. Now we're seeing Elon Musk. He's starting to feel it a little. He's starting to feel it a little. The Signal Gate people, even though there's not a lot that's going to come out of that, at some point they have to be concerned that the Democrats will regain control of the House and the Senate. And I believe that if we have free and fair elections in 2026, they will regain the edge in both chambers of government. I like the fact that they might have to sleep and they won't be able to sleep easy, knowing that those charges and those violations of the Espionage Act and those violations of the Presidential Records Acts, that could come back and bite them in the ass. I want them to never get a good night's sleep. And yeah. So am I petty? Maybe. But I am looking out for the best interest of not just my family, because I've been on one ever since they started with the layoffs with the federal employees and that kind of thing. I've been on one since then, and that did not touch me just yet. But now things are starting to come into my closer orbit, and you want to unleash the beast. The US is losing global support. And if enough of the Western nations pull out of these events, it could undermine the legitimacy of both events and hit the United States financially, especially with high profile teams like Germany and Brazil. We're talking FIFA and the Olympics, to be honest. If those two teams opt out, oh, it would be like Christmas in July. So we've got a year. We've got a literal year to make a lot of noise, and I think that we can do it. We can pressure Nike, we can pressure Coca-Cola, Visa, Adidas. They all sponsor these events, and if they see a public backlash, potential boycotts from countries or fans, they might choose to withdraw their sponsorships. And we can see who else has skin in the game. You know, I don't want Jake from State Farm being on these commercials. I mean, doing commercials and being a sponsor of these events. Because Jake from State Farm, they'll call him a DEI hire. They'll want to bring back the old Jake, the black one. I mean, the white one. Oh gosh. So we can create a movement. And that's the idea. I can't do it. I don't know. My personality might not be for everybody. But if you know a creator who can get the word out, my ego is not going to be hurt if somebody else takes this thing and makes it bigger than what I can make it, because that has stopped me in the past from doing things. I will start setting stuff up and I'll see, oh, I feel like there's no interest, or, I'm doing an awful lot of work for no reward, and then I'll stop. This is something I don't want that to happen to. And I don't think I will. I don't think I will. But if you know somebody, a creator with a bigger, louder voice than I have, who can get the word out further, please put them in contact with me and I will give them everything that I started on. Everything. So that I can do work in the background. I don't have to be the face of a movement. We need a movement that has the face of many people demanding that these sponsors take a stand. And I'm going to check our comments. Um, yeah, March, foreigner. You're not a foreigner. The other thing that might be dangerous for the Olympics is the Gaza crisis. That too, because if depending on what side of this situation you sit on, and honestly, if you're on the side of just people deserve to live without being attacked over and over and over again, people deserve that. I don't care who you side with. There's the humanity part of it is, can we stop um can we stop the killing and maybe talk about things instead of killing each other? you know but anyway, um Clarence says, I think the sheer instability of it all may make them fearful. Nobody knows the rules anymore. What bothers me is that precedent has been set. There was an alert. There was an Olympics held in Berlin while Hitler was in power. And no, nothing. There were boycotts, and we saw some things from some of the African American athletes. But they're gonna say, well, if we allowed them to have it with Hitler, why would we allow them to have it with Trump? This is a whole different day and age. It's an entirely different day and age. Um, and I think that we need to really consider Trump right now is far more dangerous than Hitler ever was. Why? Because Hitler never had a nuclear weapon. He never had a nuclear weapon. Um, Marge said, I'm thinking of the 1972 Munich Olympics. Hostages were killed in the Olympic Village. This is true. This is true. Bougie says, exactly. Do they even want the non-white players to compete in the U.S.? Asking for a friend. I will say this. Yes, they want them to compete, only to erase their achievements later, like it never even happened. Like if the United States were to come out victorious in the Olympics, that they would take the victory, but they would erase the history behind who helped hand the victory to them. We talked a couple of weeks ago about how women won most of the Olympics, the medals over the last, how many Olympics was it? Four? Over the last four Olympics, women accounted for most of the medals that were won. And almost like a bigger, even bigger percentage, I can't remember, even a bigger percentage of the gold medals. Do you think that that would go down in history? Do you think that they would want to say that the reason why the United States won the Olympics, finished out on top of the Olympics, is because of a bunch of women? And then, even worse, most of those women are not black. I mean, most of those women are not white. Do you think that that's what they would want? Because I'm going to tell you it's not. Justice said, in my state, there was a hardcore district that was Trump all the way. That went blue. So there is hope for 2026. Wow. Wait a minute. Where are you at, Justin? Are you in Pennsylvania? Are you in Philadelphia? Pennsylvania? or Pennsylvania is what I meant, not Philadelphia. Lord. But yeah, because I have been seeing that in Pennsylvania, a hardcore blue district, I mean a hardcore red district went blue, or at least as far as I know, they're still trying to do recounts and all of that stuff. But it appears that the Democrat won in that district, a district that Trump won by 15 points just a few months ago, has swung blue. I also watched a town hall from Indiana, and I don't know where in Indiana this lady is a congresswoman, but boy, did her constituency eat her alive. And let me tell you, that wasn't Northwest or Northern Indiana. That had to be someplace in the middle or Southern. And that is usually all red. And the way that those people were eating that lady up, I'm like, oh, I can see if we have fair and free elections in 2026, things are going to change. The demographics in the House of Representatives and the Senate is going to change. Trump is afraid. That's why he didn't let Elise Stefanik be confirmed as UN ambassador. She has to continue in her seat with the Congress because they are scared. They can see it happening. You got Elon Musk out here, out in Wisconsin, offering $1 million for people to basically vote for a Republican judge that would be extremely detrimental to what we are trying to achieve as far as using the courts to keep Trump in check. Be very detrimental if that person were to be elected. So if you are listening to this and you are um in Wisconsin, do your due diligence. Get out there and vote. Vote and do not vote for that guy. I know the um I know the preferred candidate is a woman. Do that, please. Uh, just to say, okay, yeah, Jake from State Farm, he's in danger, y'all. Collaboration with other creators would be good. This is, I don't know that if I don't know if my zeal sometimes relates other people. I don't know if they relate to my personality. I don't know if it's, and I don't want the fact that that my personality might be might not be compatible with everybody. I don't want that to be what slows things down. Because anytime I've reached out to other creators, Clarence and Wingrace were the two creators that I have reached out to in my life who have embraced all of the quirks that are Tasha. And some people just don't want to be bothered with me, you know what I'm saying? So I um I prefer that some of the listeners, if there is somebody that you think is a decent match, and or at least who would help regardless to whether or not they personally like me, that will help, I would appreciate it. Luigi says that is a good place to start. Put the word out about how immigrants from some of those competing countries have been treated here, or immigrants in general, especially the darker ones. We truly got to put together a plan of attack. I'm with this. Money always gets their attention, does. Maybe some of the U.S. superstar track gymnast athletes might boycott. I'm leaning towards that. I think specifically the track athletes. It has always been uh, they've always been a political bunch, and I think knowing that this country would not mind earning gold medals and being seen as the mighty United States. They'll do that off of their back. But when it comes time to acknowledge them for anything else, they'll say that you're DEI. And we see what DEI is. We've seen the evidence here lately. But that is what they will do to these athletes who put everything on the line for this country, only to be treated like complete and total garbage when the games are over. I think about what they said to LeBron, shut up and dribble. This was years ago. And what they did to Colin Kaepernick. What did Trump call him? Get that son of a bitch out of here. When you're not saying something that you want to hear, they son of a bitches or their opinion just don't matter. But when I need you to win this gold medal, then yeah, we are all behind you. Rah rah rah, shish boom ba. You know, so um, I wouldn't want to perform. I wouldn't want to perform for this nation, not until they fix some things. And the first thing I would say needed to be fixed is, hey, you have to realize that just like I am with training, I am a great athlete. These people that you are pushing off as DEI hires, they had training. They are people who went through uh, school or went through the ranks of the military or went through uh, hell and through hell and high water to be where they were, and you dismiss them as DEI. But anyway, yeah, Justin, you're in Pennsylvania. Okay. Um, yeah, it went blue. Florida too. I think they have two districts that have elections on April 1st. Yes. And there's these like special elections, and I really hope that those go blue. And I mean, and we still have the one for Sylvester. Um, oh, what was his last name? Just passed away. He used to be the mayor of Houston, and now then he went into Congress. He passed away a couple of maybe a month ago. His seat is open, and we haven't heard anything about our special election yet. Justice says he has friends and family in government that lost jobs and may still lose jobs. I'm really, really sorry about that because a lot of these people should not be out of work. uh just the way that it's being done is so reckless and so it's just stupid. It's just stupid. If Nike and Adidas and all of them, all their friends, really cared about human rights, they could pull their sponsorship of these events. Who keeps Nike in business? And I mean, really, if it ain't black people, Nike 100%, y'all owe us shit. There's so many people who will not eat if it means they can get them new Jordans the day they drop. I don't think that's good, but it's leverage when we're in situations like this. Uh, we need Nike, Adidas, Visa, State Farm, Jake. We need them to make a statement that they will not stand with countries that violate uh, their ethics, and we need to be loud and proud so they can hear us. We need to reach out to every marginalized group, every group that Trump and his cronies is attacking, which is the black community. They doing it without saying black people, but they're doing it. The immigrant community, the LGBTQ community, namely the trans community. That all of these people that they are trying to erase, we need a coalition. And one thing for sure, and two things for certain: the transgender community, the LGBTQ community, they are in this fight at the era that we're in. So black people, we were part of the fight when it was take to the streets, do sit-ins, go to boycott the bus boycotts and that kind of thing. So we know how to boycott. We know how to organize and mobilize and protest. But now we're in the digital age. And in the digital age, I'm not going to say we are behind, but we don't have as much experience. Not as much. But the transgender community and the LGBTQ community, they know how to work this here internet. They're going to be heard. So we need to get some of those types of creators on our teams. And if you guys have any suggestions for who, put some in the comments. And I'll try to reach out. But a lot of people don't like me. So if they like you more, if you got a more bubbly personality, maybe maybe they'll like you and you'll be more of a help in that situation. But we're gonna do whatever we gotta do to get some of them on board. That's one of the things that we can do to take action. But there are other things that we can do too. We have already said we're going to pressure these governments to withdraw. We can organize global petitions calling on countries to pull out of the US as a host. I started a petition to get IOC and FIFA to just move the games, but we need other petitions started that's calling on specific countries to pull out of the Olympics. We need to urge the national sports federations to pressure their athletes not to participate. Don't participate with this government that's violating international norms, that would violate your rights if you were coming here as a visitor. Don't participate for them. And we need to come up with a little list, and maybe that's what we'll do next live stream. Come up with a little list of people who we think would be at least susceptible to hearing what we have to say, and then start our email campaigns on our athletes. I think I think a Noah Lyles. I think a Shakari Richardson. Um, and I'm really I'm not 100% sure. Sydney McLaughlin maybe. Um, but the big names. Simone Biles probably would. And if she were going to participate in the next Olympics, because um she's what, 28, 29, and married. We don't know if in the next 2 years that she might be trying to start a family or something. But what we can do, especially me, because I'm in Houston and that's where she is from, is what we can do is, what did I just do? Oh, here we are. What we can do is reach out to her and then see if she can reach out to some people and say, don't participate. I'm also thinking of the women's basketball team. Um, People who would be on the next Olympic squad. Caitlin Clark, who um, she tries to stay away from politics, but sometimes you have to say something. So we could see if Caitlin Clark, if Angel Reese, if Asia Wilson, if Chelsea Gray, some of the Nafisa Collier, some of those bigger names, Brianna Stewart, if they would be able to uh, say, you know what, we're not doing it. And the men's basketball players, I don't know who got next as far as Olympics are concerned. Some of the old guard will probably be gone in 2 years. I'm looking at LeBron James, possibly Steph Curry. Uh, so some of the names that were typical to me for men's basketball and synonymous with being in the Olympics, I got a feeling that a lot of the big ones are not going to be there. There will be some new faces, and we can reach out to them and see if they want to join a boycott. Draft open letters to government officials, key diplomats, and ministers of sports in influential countries. Not here, but the Canadian Minister of Sport. Yeah, we can start a letter writing campaign to is it a lady? It used to be a lady, and she was like a Paralympian swimmer. That is like some of the most random trivia that I know about about Canada, and I don't really know why I remember it, but that stood out to me. I don't remember her name, Qualtree or something like that, but she would be a good ally. Paralympian woman sports minister. That would be perfect. Um, and reaching out to other sports ministers from other countries and saying, "Hey, I'm from the United States, and I don't want y'all to come here because I can't guarantee that you're going to be treated well." Um, so of course, call for sponsor boycotts. We've talked about that, and use these hashtags or hashtags similar to them on social media. Share that that link. That's the first comment in the chat is that link to that petition that I started. Share that link and this live stream if you think it would do some good. Just spread the word that this is the direction that we want to go in. We want a focus on something that is in the future. Something that yeah, this is in the future. We don't have to make a rush decision because and I'm not knocking any movement, any protest or boycott for making people think in the moment because sometimes that is how things happen. We do have to think in the moment. But if we've got something that we can look way ahead to, and if this is still going on, here's our big one. We could hit that World Cup in all these major cities and make some freaking noise. And if they want to continue to have it here, we're going to make it inhospitable. We're going to be right in your face showing you the conditions of people here. And the conditions of people here might on the outside look decent. And that's today. I don't know what it's going to look like a year from now, but it might look good on the outside, but immigrants but poor people, marginalized communities, older people, people who rely on social security, disability, those people are being treated like yesterday's trash, and we're gonna be in y'all face with it. And I yeah, we want to share the live stream, sign the petition, engage with the hashtags, make up your own version of the hashtags. I'm not married to these hashtags, but that's a good start. And then we go reach out to these sponsors, demand that they make a stand. Now, I don't know how much noise these petitions are going to make because right now I got 14 supporters on the petition. 14. I've shared it on Facebook, Blue Sky, of course, YouTube. Um, where else? Of Discord, but that don't count because y'all are all here. So yeah, I've shared it in all these places, and I'm not particularly nobody's biting. What the heck just happened? Something just happened, and I don't know what it is. That's what happened. Okay. So yeah, nobody's really biting on the petition thing, but I know I like to see things happen, and maybe, maybe it's customary to have to wait, and I'm not a good waiter. Oh gosh. Let me see where we at in the comments. Claire says, oh no, Marge said, a boycott costs athletes a great deal and hurts a country's overall sports programs. It does. However, especially in the United States, you're you're telling me that, and I know the Olympics ain't even a big event anymore, to be quite honest. Do you know how much they get paid? Now, I'm not talking sponsorships. Per gold medals, it was like $30,000 that the United States would pay or give to an athlete for bringing home gold. $30,000, and it's a lot of money to me. $30,000 would last me about a year. Um, but to them, it's not a lot of money. You're making your money off of course, your sponsorships, but also in the other meets that you have to run throughout the year. In fact, some of the biggest meets, as far as track is concerned, um, some of the biggest meets would be $70,000 if you come in first. Or there's one, Michael Johnson has come out with a league where you get $100,000 for a first place win. So that $30,000 on the biggest world stage doesn't sound like an awful lot. And even if you don't boycott, demonstrate. You get what I mean? So even if you go to the Olympics, you like, because I know this is easy money, I'm gonna come and I'm gonna take this money, demonstrate. And they still might not want to pay you if you demonstrate. But I think you should go there, and at least you have to stand up for people who just don't have. You can't, you know, that would make you no better than Trump to me. Trump exploits people because for whatever reason they love him. He's a charismatic dude to them, to the audience that he is pandering to. He is a charismatic dude. They love him and they'll do whatever for him. And he takes advantage of them, exploits them every chance he gets. The athletes don't have to be that way. When you want this person who was working a government job, who lost their job, but when they were working, they would buy season tickets to see you every single time. And now it's time for you to be a little uncomfortable for them, and you say no. And I know that's the way capitalism works, but that's part of the problem. Uh, we're gonna call it humanism over capitalism. Where we at here? Bougie said, "Sorry to hear that. I was also on the chopping block, possibly still am. Who knows with these people? I'm so sorry that you got to live with that kind of uncertainty." Exactly, Marge. Now that I like. The If the IOC moves the Olympics to another country, the athletes don't lose. And that is what I really want. I want them to relocate these games. And of course, wherever they would let me get my mouth together. Wherever they would relocate to would be at a disadvantage because you have to build those little communities for the athletes to stay in, to be kind of contained, to keep the possibility of somebody getting in and harming your athletes. um they would have to build their village, and they would be at a disadvantage because it would be on short notice. But you know what? Crazier things have happened. I would like to see it move, and I'll support the athletes. if you move it. You guys remember how I was with last Olympics? I enjoyed I enjoyed talking the Olympics and stuff. Hey, Dreamwalker. Great point that conservatives would hate to admit that women's gold medals are why the U.S. win at the Olympics. Yeah. Oh, it would probably drive them freaking nuts that it was like, really? Most of the gold medals are from women? Oh, would hurt their feelings. Um, Fuji says, I've been a combination of military and federally employed for more than 20 years. Can't believe it all is coming down to an orange clown and a Tesla shaped toddler. Mm. And Clarence says we are all indirectly affected with the economy. Yes, that thing is equal opportunity, the way the economy is falling apart. So yes. Dustin said that's correct, Tasha. How all this is being done and executed has just been dirty. My mom worked in the government almost 40 years, retired before this. Glad she got out before this. But we know so many um, who lost jobs. And he also goes on to Bougie, it's just been done in such a wrong way, and a lot shouldn't have happened, also. Marge says an impressive LGBTQ plus org here in Canada is buying billboards. Ooh, I wish I had billboard money. Maybe I need to get in contact with that group because maybe they could put a billboard up that speaks as such. Move it or lose it. That's basically it. Move the Olympics or lose it. Bougie said, "We love you, Tasha, and we all can't be the quarterback, but the quarterback needs a team too." This is true. Quarterback can't be the center. uh, and true, and for the wrong reasons. Yeah, this whole thing isn't about the people, Bougie. You're right. They're doing this for money and for personal gain, and it's horrible. They are looting our public agencies. They are looting our government. They are stripping it down to the white meat. They want every single bit of everything. And then they want to take their ass over to Greenland and tear their shit up. And they want to try to pressure Canada and tear their shit up. They don't want to be happy, or they will not be happy until, like a freaking cancer, they have consumed all of North America and then some. They're greedy, obnoxious, nasty people who worship the almighty dollar. And mark my words, with all this crypto with them, they're going to try to change the national currency to cryptocurrency. It might not happen like in the next 90 days or anything like that, but you mark my words, somebody is going to bring that up. Somebody is. This is how they will tank us all. If they get people to start believing in cryptocurrency, because cryptocurrency to me is like the Easter Bunny. If you don't believe it, it won't give you anything. Anyway, um, one thing I've learned, Justin said, some of the jobs are being replaced by AI. I'm fearful that this is going to be a new trend going forward, also for the private sector. I agree. I mean, we've already heard him. By him, I mean Elon Musk talk about trying to replace some of the positions with AI, and we've had conversations before. You can use AI to do some research, and you find out that AI has lied to you. Now, I know that innovations take time to perfect, but why would we want to trust an imperfect system like AI with Granny's social security information? Why would we want to trust that? Why would we want to trust AI to handle um, a national archives when we had a national archivist who was doing a fantastic job? Things like that. Um, Carla Don Qualtro. You looked it up, Marge Qualtro. I couldn't remember, but I knew something. I knew her last name. I'm gonna hang in there, Marge. I'm not gonna pull the plug on the petition. I just get nervous. Like, why isn't nobody signing? But you signed, and I appreciate it. Clarence said, "Is that paid by the U.S. government? How do we know Elon won't cut it?" Hmm. I don't know if that's the money we're talking about from the people that are winning, and you're wondering if they won't cut it. If they, Elon, you're right. He could cut, he could cut anything. I don't know. Justice says, I'm all for boycotts. They help. But this has to be said. It can really hurt small business, mom and pop places suffer, and it could end their business. Big business has insurance for it. Small don't. That's why I say when you have a boycott, number one, have your targets. Number two, that is when you patronize the mom and pop stores. That is when if that mom and pop store, um, if it represents your views, if it represents what we are boycotting for, as far as or boycotting against, if it represents all the things that line up with the movement, we don't let that place die. For instance, when they say economic boycott, don't spend any money, you got to spend money. You don't ever know. Somebody might get the bubble guts. And now you got to go and get some some Tums. You go to the small pharmacy. If I'm hungry and I got to figure like I am right now to figure out what I'm going to eat, there are small little diners that are not part of a chain. They're locally owned. That's who you support. You don't have excuse me. What we're saying is these big corporations, let them suffer. We're going to eat the rich. Mom and pops, you can fill that diner up with hungry protesters, boycotters, protesters. They should get most of their business. They should get a lot of business. The small, locally owned places should get a lot of business on the days that a protest or a boycott is in town. And we need to stand on that. Somebody needs to make a directory of small businesses to patronize when we're not patronizing the others. We need to have a day of the week, to me, in my opinion, a day of the week that we will patronize. If we have a boycott on a Monday, we all eat at Moe's. If we have a boycott on a Tuesday, we all go to Trudy's. You know what I'm saying? Trudy and Mo will be thankful for all of that. And the billionaires could feed the world, like you said. They won't. Hey, Win Grace, let's leave in a baby shower. I tell you, baby showers are becoming. Now I'm about to go on a tangent. Baby showers are becoming more and more of a what is it? I can't think of the word. It used to just be women. It used to just be women. My son went to a baby shower a week or two ago, and I was like, baby shower. Anyway, um, Fuji said, I'm not sure about this. I just heard it, so I haven't had time to confirm. But I heard that Elon is leaving his Doge position in May. Initially, he was supposed to be there for a year. Yeah, I think that, yeah, I think what Marge is saying is right. That he had like this 130 days, 130-day contract before you have to make them a paid member of the government, you can't be a special employee for more than 130 days. I might look it up and talk about it another little later. Marge said yes, small shops, local shops. Justice said digital currency will happen, but we must keep paper and coin also. Right. Thank you for pointing out the facts on small business. We have to be smart and win over support. Right. Um, Uji says, "I love that you talking about like the directory and look, it made me think about Green Book. You guys remember the directory of places when Black people wanted to travel? There was a Green Book, and the Green Book would tell the Black people, this is I'm talking back in the pre-civil rights era. They would have places that you could eat, places that you can stay the night, towns you needed to go through in a hurry. The Green Book was everything for Black people who wanted to travel. And now we have like we want to protest and not necessarily want to, but we're being put in a position where we will have to protest. So now you have to protest. We need to know these things. We need to know where we can eat. We need to know if there's a safer place to spend the night if we had to, you know, all this, where we can rent a car, where we can do these things. We need to know all of that in a directory, or giving us a place to start for each 50 or all 50 states would be good. Clarence says, Mama Hamels, if you know, you know, or Breakfast Club in Houston, oh, baby. uh, Breakfast Club in Houston. Now you're gonna be in that line for about 3 or 4 hours, but oh gosh, you don't recommend eating salmon baby food. Who would want that? Oh, you got forced into eating some salmon baby food at the doggone baby shower. I'm so sorry. uh, Elon is properly leaving early because Tesla is in the crapper too. But you see what he did yesterday, right? While I was sleeping, Elon Musk used XAI to buy X, which frees up some money somehow for him. Don't ask me how, because I'm not an economist. I am not financially literate in the least when you start talking about playing a shell game with money. But that is what he's done. He's moved money from one place because really Tesla is going down, which means he was about to lose X because he borrowed off of the collateral of his Tesla stocks to buy X. So now your Tesla stocks start to tank. Now they're calling in for the money on X, and you ain't got it. So what he did was use XAI to buy X for a smaller amount, I think for 33 billion, for a smaller amount than what he paid for it initially, which means that he gets a tax break because of the depreciation of X. It's so much mess, and I was trying to wrap my mind around what they were saying, and I don't understand completely. But that was his new gimmick. He figured out a way to buy himself some time without bleeding too much more money. The Green Book. Yeah, Green Book. Bougie said he's probably leaving to save Tesla and his job. The board threatened to force him out if he didn't give up politics or come back to Tesla full time. Look, I don't care what happened to Elon Musk. I've been thinking some very horrible, mean thoughts lately, and I have been slapping my own hand because I'm like, I should not be thinking like that. The stuff that I've been thinking about Elon and Trump and all the rest of these people, you know, I have to ask for forgiveness for some of the things that I've thought. So I hope he loses it all. I hope something happens where every penny is taken from him. I hope he gets mugged in an alley and somebody got the password to his crypto wallet. I don't care. I want these people to suffer the way that they are making people suffer. Yeah, Justin, you know what I'm talking about. That Tesla and X deal is crazy. It's legal, but still shady. And again, he used the AI company. So now the AI company is locked in where the AI company owns Twitter now. It's not Elon don't own Twitter. The XAI owns Twitter. Even though Elon has the majority stake, I believe, in XAI. It's weird. And it takes a fucking criminal mastermind to come up with all these different ways to uh to getting the system, and I can't remember the word that I'm looking for, and sometimes I go blank. But yeah, he's trying to what is the word I'm looking for? Whatever the case, he is taking money from one place, playing another. He's playing a shell game. But this is the same dude who said that Social Security is a Ponzi scheme. This is the same group of people who say that if you complain about not getting your Social Security check, you're a fraudster. So of course they recognize fraudsters, or at least they think they do, because that's the type of shit that they do. Anyway, I don't know what designated survivor thoughts. I don't know what that means. You might have to to expound a little bit, Win Grace. But yeah, oh, and I guess I could cut off my audacity. I guess I better wait till I end this whole thing. What else? Is there anything else that I wanted to talk about as far as these boycotts and the such? I don't think so. Do you guys have anything else that you want to share? Um, do what you can to move that to move to move that petition around. Um, if you can think of anybody that I need to be reaching out to signal boost this thing, let me know. I got a couple people in mind. If you can signal boost this thing, do so. But I got a couple of people in mind that I might want to reach out to. It's just very hard to reach out to people. Some of them when they don't want to be reached out to. Thank you, Marge. Thank you, Marge, for signing early, and also thank you for just hanging out with me and being supportive. I appreciate you all. I'm gonna do what I can here to eat a little dinner. I'm gonna find something. We're gonna eat a little dinner, and then we'll get back to work. It never ends, right? I put out an episode on um, Reddit, designated survivor thoughts on Reddit. I'm gonna have to look it up. I'm not 100% sure. I'm losing the plot. I am losing the plot. But yeah, I appreciate everybody for being here, and it looks so beautiful because everybody in here is a member. So y'all really F with me. And yep, it's been fun. Hopefully we learned a little bit of something, I guess, and got a little bit off our chest. Well, thank you. Oh, Reddit to share the petition. Thank you. Designated survivor thoughts. Designated survivor. That's where I need to share it to. I'm writing it down. Thank you. I will definitely. I see what you're saying now. Catch up with you guys later. Thank you guys. Thank you for that win, Grace, for that idea. I've written it down. And everybody, thanks for being here. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.